In 2016, Amy Bach founded Feeding Our Future in Minnesota. For its first several years, it operated as a modest, entirely legitimate nonprofit. The organization brought in roughly $3 to $4 million annually in federal reimbursements to act as a sponsor, ensuring meals reached low-income children. This diagram illustrates the standard USDA verification process before 2020. Organizations had to provide documentation and submit to site visits to receive federal money. When COVID-19 arrived, the federal government issued emergency rule changes to its nutrition programs. The standard documentation requirements disappeared. The intention behind the change was humanitarian. The government wanted to cut through administrative red tape so vulnerable children would still get food, even amid severe pandemic disruptions and lockdowns. By removing those verification rules, the government completely severed its line of sight into where the money was going. The administrative safeguards vanished, leaving an institutional vacuum with zero oversight. This chart tracks Feeding Our Future's annual federal reimbursements. Operating in that oversight vacuum, the nonprofit's claims skyrocketed from their $3 million baseline up to $250 million. A policy drafted to protect hungry children during a global crisis laid the exact foundation for the largest pandemic-related fraud in American history. Amy Bach positioned herself as the gatekeeper of this new capital flow. She accepted cash kickbacks from independent meal site operators across her network. In exchange, she signed off on their paperwork and approved dozens of new, entirely fictitious meal sites. This visualization compares the physical footprint of these meal sites against their claimed output. The math was physically impossible. Operators submitted claims stating they served millions of meals over a few weeks from small, understaffed locations that could not hold a fraction of that capacity. The meals were never cooked. In many cases, the names on the reimbursement forms belonged to children who did not exist. The federal money appropriated specifically to keep vulnerable children from starving was instead routed directly into the personal accounts of the network operators. The network participants spent stolen children's meal money on high-end vehicles. Surveillance footage and financial records tied the federal funds to a Porsche driving lifestyle. The money also flowed into personal consumption, like designer bags, luxury hotel stays, and overseas investments protected from American law enforcement. Because the perpetrators spent so much on untraceable travel, international transfers, and luxury goods, the United States recovered only $75 million. The remaining $175 million is gone. The calculated kickbacks, the coordinated forgery of meal sites, and the rapid offshore fund transfers reveal a highly sophisticated criminal syndicate exploiting a broken system. In 2021, the Minnesota Department of Education recognized the impossible claims and attempted to halt payments. By January 2022, the FBI launched the largest coordinated law enforcement raid in Minnesota history, resulting in 79 indictments. During the first trial in April 2024, someone approached a juror's home on a Sunday evening. They left a Hallmark gift bag on her doorstep. Inside that bag was $120,000 in cash. The bag included a promise of more money if the juror voted to acquit the defendants. She immediately called 911. She and another compromised juror were dismissed, and the remaining jury sequestered. The trials pressed forward, resulting in 63 convictions. Amy Bach was found guilty on all counts and currently awaits a sentencing date that carries up to 33 years in federal prison. Attempting to buy a federal verdict by hand-delivering cash to a juror's home demonstrates the organization's mob-like confidence that it could simply purchase its way out of consequences. The camera crews packed up after the convictions, but the fallout from the missing $250 million immediately became fuel for a completely separate political agenda. In 2025, the Trump administration cited the Feeding Our Future fraud as direct justification for launching Operation Metro Surge, a massive federal immigration enforcement raid deployed across Minnesota. This chart breaks down data from the 3,700 arrests made during the operation. Despite targeting a community heavily associated with the fraud case, fewer than 3% arrested were of Somali descent. 0 individuals had any connection to Feeding Our Future. The enforcement operation escalated until January 2026, when an innocent woman named Renee Good was killed by a federal agent in Minneapolis. The resulting public outcry shattered the team handling the fraud case. 6 federal prosecutors in Minnesota resigned in protest, including Joe Thompson, the lead prosecutor who had secured the initial feeding our future convictions. When a government removes institutional oversight during a crisis, the damage rarely stops at stolen money. The resulting crimes create shockwaves that derail justice, spark misdirected political crackdowns, and eventually cost civilian lives.